Hi, my name is Joan Grimald, and I want to introduce to you my new book, Mapping Musical Signification. The book gathers and classifies quite a lot of information about musical expressive meaning. Musical signification is the consequence of considering music a message that conveys some information to its listener. And in the last decades, quite a lot of research has been contributing to the field. But the trouble is, this information is all scattered around and it's not so easily accessible to the average graduate or postgraduate student. To choose what went into my mapping, um, the main criteria were its usefulness for the performer and uh, a clear structure, as in a map, hence the title. As a performer, I've been needing such a map my whole life. And as a teacher, I've been asked the whole time for one. Of course, this is not the map of musical signification, but only the writing down of a process that needs to be revisited, completed, corrected, either by my readers or by myself. As I said, the mapping involves gathering and a pragmatic reordering of previous material. But moreover, the book includes some of my own research regarding mainly topic theory and musical narrative. Now, musical narrative has become quite a hot subject lately, and it will arguably become even hotter in the next years. Um, in the first draft of my mapping, these issues would belong to a last chapter. Eventually, I decided to devote a whole new volume to these subjects um, because it's just too interesting to fit into one only chapter. After all, uh, the rhetoric of instrumental music and musical narrativity are the culmination of any analysis of those who perform and listen to music as some kind of message, as a communicative act. The first chapter is called Musical Science, and it introduces some of the most useful tools of music semiotics. When I say semiotics, I'm using the term in its broad, inclusive sense. The second chapter tackles madrigalisms and rhetoric figures, that is, those musical signs that originate in 16th and 17th century music and that are at the root of so many musical meanings in the modern era. Chapter 3 moves on to 18th century music and presents some of its most salient features. For instance, the mixed style. In 18th century instrumental music, um, different references to its musical landscape are presented all mixed up. So there are amazing combinations of um, comic opera with tragic opera, of worldly and sacred music, of collective spaces and intimate spaces. Um, so it must have been a shock for contemporary listeners to find all these combinations. So we actually have reports from the time that, that they were quite amazed at that mixtures. Um, the chapter 3 closes with a semiotic square with four different semantic fields that classify all these different references to the world in the 18th century. And the semiotic square also relates these semantic fields to each other in a meaningful way. The next chapters are all devoted to these four semantic fields. Um, Chapter 4 studies sacred references, such as Gregorian chant or the Lutheran hymn, as being exported into new foreign contexts, such as opera, uh, the sonata, or the symphony. Chapter 5 deals with martial references that had a fundamental importance in the development of the symphonic genre, as symphonies were tightly connected with the aristocracy that acquired their privileges mostly by warfare. Chapter 6 engages with lyricism and pastoral, the semantic field that is probably the most frequent one in Western music. In fact, in European culture, the pastoral myth has been correlated and equated with music in general. Chapter 7 is devoted to dance references, that is, to all the expressive connotations of letting an aria or a sonata move to a definite dance rhythm. Whether the original dance that has been imported to this new medium had a peasant or a highbrow origin, um, this gives a lot of precious information both to performers and listeners about the expressive meaning of that passage. Finally, chapter 8 is entitled Theatrical References. Musical theatre has been the main source for expressive meaning in instrumental music. So it is crucial to investigate into the traditions that were operating at the time of this transfer to determine where from a musical gesture or a musical sign originate. Basically, these references can be divided between according to their relationship to tragic opera or to comic opera. So this is it. I am most proud of the tables at the end of the volume that allow the reader to navigate through the text for reference. There is also an alphabetical list of the many musical examples in the text, up to nearly 300, that show how much I trust actual music to prove my point and to reach far beyond it. The whole text comes from uh, musical practice and from musicianship and intends to return to it. So thank you very much for your attention and enjoy the reading and the listening.